My name is Israel Sanz Sanchez, and I'm an assistant professor of Spanish and linguistics at the Department of Languages and Cultures at Westchester University.
Nice. So last time I visited Israel, we were talking about the interesting ways he's using technology in a face-to-face classroom. So I wanted to ask him today, what are some of the ways he's using technology?
Well, there's really been an evolution depending on the courses that I have taught. A few years ago, things like incorporating PowerPoint into your lectures counted as using technology. I'm not quite sure that that's what people would think of as qualifying as technology these days anymore. You really adapt to different tools that you have at each point in time. So for the courses that I've taught, which are mainly face-to-face courses, I've implemented a series of different tools. Mostly, I rely on the online system that we have here at Westchester University, which is D2L, Design to Learn, which has a series of tools embedded within it. And so some of these tools allow me to take care of things that are kind of like normal everyday business in face-to-face courses traditionally. Things such as distributing the syllabus, course documents, distributing any other pieces of information. Those can now be put online for students to access at any given time. Obviously, you can also use that as a hub to connect to other sources of information out there on the web. So you can also post links and resources and create a database of online resources that your students can refer to throughout the semester. Housekeeping business, again, that used to happen offline now can happen online. And there's advantages to it. For instance, when you post all your grades on the gradebook, it really liberates the instructor from having to keep an updated count of things that they can present to the students if any questions arise, but the students can just go straight to D2L and see their grade at every single point in time. Also, something that is very helpful for me, I post a homework update on D2L every single day after class so that students know exactly where we are and what's expected of them for the following class session. So even though we do stick to the course syllabus as you would in a traditional course, any of those questions with, I missed class, what's due next day, are we supposed to be turning in this assignment or is that for next week, that can all be clarified on D2L. It makes the information open, accessible to everybody, and it also liberates the instructor from having to answer emails that sometimes are a little redundant. There's also ways in which I use D2L that are innovative, that are not necessarily things that you would do offline back in the day. So for instance, now you have the opportunity to have your students interact in different ways, such as discussion forums. And so I do a series of forums online every semester where students have to post a certain amount of answers. They have to read what other students are reading. They have to reflect on concepts that we've seen in class and apply them to a specific series of data. And so you can extend the discussion that you have in the time that you have in the classroom, which is limited, to the online environment, and it makes the whole interaction mode a lot more versatile. I've also started experimenting recently with the online classroom, which is something that comes in handy, especially in places like Pennsylvania, where sometimes the weather is not very reliable, and you have to cancel class, and then you end up losing valuable class time. So with the online classroom, you can actually have the session online, and you make sure that you take care of that, and you're not losing any time. So that's pretty helpful too. I also use other technological components that are not necessarily part of D2L, but it just goes along with this whole idea of creating new ways for people to interact that are not necessarily bound to the classroom space. So one thing that I've done for the past few semesters is, instead of requiring my students to turn in a traditional on paper written project towards the end of the semester, I've had them collaborate in groups to create a website There's been a little bit of a learning curve for both myself and also my students. Sometimes we assume that students can take care of all these things and that they're all very digitally savvy, but sometimes you're learning along with them. The first time I tried to do that, I started with the concept of a wiki. As a collaborative project that different people can contribute to and shape in any form they want. I found that as time goes by, there's other online, if you will, services or possibilities that are also very versatile and that do not have some of the traditional limitations of wikis. And so a lot of my students lately have chosen to work with Tumblr. And so they create their websites on Tumblr. And so that's another way in which they can interact, just not necessarily bound to D2L.
So do you let them choose the tool that they want to use for that?
I do give them a series of options, and we have a conversation about some of the pros and cons. So one of the advantages with wikis, for instance, is that you can embed, depending on the wiki, pretty significant amount of text. And so depending on what type of project you're working on, if you want it to be very text heavy, the wiki can handle that. But then there's a lot of wikis that have limitations as far as how what types of files you may embed, the size of the files. So Tumblr works very well with that because it handles different types of media very well, but Tumblr also has a text limitation. So there's things that you cannot do on Tumblr that you would be able to do on a wiki. And so it's about the project, but it's also about developing digital literacy. And so I find that my students learn how to collaborate online alongside also obviously working on the actual topic for the course.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you.
Sure. My pleasure.